गया टाइम। ला हौला वला कुव्वता इल्ला बिल्लाहिल अज़ीम। औज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर लाइनिर रजीम। बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। इन्नल्लाहा व मलाइकतहु युसल्लूना अलन नबी या अय्युहल्लज़ीना आमनू सल्लु अलैहि व सल्लिमू तस्लीमा। अल्लाहु अकबर, अल्लाहु अकबर, अल्लाहु अकबर, अल्लाहु अकबर। अशहदु अन ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह। अशहदु अन ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह। अशहदु अन्ना मुहम्मदर रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वालैहि वसल्लम। अशहदु अन्ना मुहम्मदर रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वालैहि वसल्लम। अशहदु अन्ना अमीरुल मोमिनीन व इमामुल मुत्तक़ीन अलिय्यन वलियुल्लाह। अशहदु अन्ना अमीरुल मोमिनीन व इमामुल मुत्तक़ीन अलिय्यन हुज्जतुल्लाह। हय्या अलस सलाह, हय्या अलस सलाह, हय्या अलल फलाह, हय्या अलल फलाह। हय्या अला खैरिल अमल, हय्या अला खैरिल अमल। अल्लाहु अकबर, अल्लाहु अकबर। ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह, ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह।
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله الذي كان موجودا قبل حدوث الأشياء ويبقى بعد فناء الأشياء. تفرد بالأولية والقدم ووسم كل شيء ما عداه بالفناء والعدم. كما قال عز شأن كل شيء هالك إلا وجهه وكل نفس ذائقة الموت. وقال كل من عليها فان ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام. سبحان من لا يخفى عليه اختلاف النيات ولا يعزب عنه معاصي العباد في الخلوات. سبحان الله الذي منه خلقة العباد وإليه المعاد. فمن يعمل مثقال ذرة خيرا يره ومن يعمل مثقال ذرة شرا يره. نشهد أن لا إله إلا هو الملك الذي لا ينازع في ملكه ولا يضاد في حكمه. يعذب من يشاء بما يشاء كيف يشاء ويرحم من يشاء بما يشاء كيف يشاء. تعذيبه المسيئين عدل وعفوه تفضل. ونشهد أن محمدا سيد المرسلين وخير المبشرين والمنذرين صلى الله عليه وآله الهداة المهديين. من ركب سفينتهم نجا واهتدى ومن تخلف عنها ضل فغرق. وهوى أوصيكم عباد الله بالاعتصام بالتقوى فإنه حبل متين وعروة وثقى. فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا وقودها الناس والحجارة. صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I begin by exhorting myself and advising you to adopt the taqwa of Allah, as is the best of provisions. The verse that I recited is from chapter number 66, Surah Tahrim, ayat number 6. And a verse which is really, that could shake an individual if you just pay attention to the meaning of it. It's one of those verses which by reading or listening brings about chills, if you want to say goosebumps to a person if you pay attention to actually what is being said. A lot of time you hear certain things, you feel goosebumps, right? You say, oh, really? This is one of those verses of Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I didn't recite the entire ayat, I chose just the beginning part of the ayat, but the entire ayat, as they say in Farsi, takan dahande, meaning it just shakes you when you hear such words. What does Allah say? He says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O those who believe, qu anfusakum wa ahlikum, save yourselves and your families from a fire, waquduha an-nasu wal hijara, whose fuel will be the people and the stones. That initially, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not addressing kuffar, He's not addressing mushrikeen, He's not addressing any other group of individuals. Who is He addressing? He's addressing mu'mineen. So if you and I consider ourselves to be iman wale, those who have brought iman, those who are faithful, those who are mu'mineen, then this address is to us. So face the reality. This is the reality, that iman, those who have brought iman are the ones who are being scrutinized over here, not those who don't have iman or those who do not have faith. He says, oh, those who believe, save yourselves and your families from the fire whose fuel. The fire requires fuel for burning, because if the fuel runs out, then the fire will be extinguished. You require constant fuel, or you require constant, for example, wood, firewood. You have chimney, you keep on putting the firewood, it'll keep on running the fire. The moment all the fire burns out, of course, the fire will extinguish on its own. You don't even have to put it out. But Allah says, the fire whose fuel and the stones and the wood which requires it for it to be continuously lit and burn is the people themselves, is your nufus, yourselves. You're the ones who become the indhan, the fuel of this fire. A young man fell on the ground dead after hearing this verse. When he heard this verse, he fell dead right away. Rasulullah said, he promised paradise for this individual. He says, ذَلِكَ لِمَنْ خَافَ مَقَامِي وَخَافَ مَعِيدِ, that this promise is for someone who is awed, who's awed and stands with fear in front of me. This awe, this fear in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and what He has done. So method of saving family members from the hellfire is through, amr and nahi, is through providing proper care and proper guardianship, as well as tarbiyat. If they accept, then if you have saved them from the fire that Allah is promising. But if they don't accept, at least you have performed your duty and you will not be held accountable. So either way, you need to go ahead and do this. You do it in order to fulfill your duty and hope at the same time that this duty brings fruits and it's serves the purpose and you're able to save your family from the fire of the hell. But if it doesn't, then at least you are not going to be held responsible for that. Method of saving family members, so well, yes, the problem is there. How do we go about fixing it? How do we go about addressing it? That is the main issue. Maybe it'll take a couple of weeks for us to grab a hold of all of the instructions that are given in this regard. Some of the things that are mentioned, says, Rahimallahu rajulan, قال يا أهلاه صلاتكم صيامكم زكاتكم مسكينكم يتيمكم جيرانكم. May Allah have mercy on the person who says to his family members, your prayers, your fasts, your zakat, your poor and miskin and destitute, your orphans and your neighbors. Meaning what? Take care of these things. You take care of these things, you can safeguard yourself from the fire which is being prepared for the hereafter. So what are our responsibilities toward our family? There are many places in Quran where we find this responsibility has been addressed. So it's a book of law, it's a book of history, it's a book of ahkam, it's a book of akhlaqiyat. It's got everything in it. And therefore, one of the areas the Quran has not shy away from addressing is to how to take care of your family and the responsibility that lies in your hands. So the first instance is this verse that we recited from Surah Tahrim, ayat number 6. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blatantly, openly tells us it's your responsibility to save yourself, safeguard yourself, and to safeguard others in your family. First and foremost duty for you is what? Is to go ahead and protect yourself. You're not going to go ahead and throw yourself into danger on purpose. If it's by force or if it's by mistake, that's understandable. But on purpose, nobody will jump into danger knowingly that the outcome will be very, very bad. Unless, of course, your mind has been brainwashed and you've been manipulated, saying that if you strap this bomb on your waist and you run into these people and you blow yourself up, you will go ahead and earn the greatest of the rewards, na'udhu billah. Of course, that's where the mentality you don't speak to. That is similar to insanity. This person is not stable-minded who's performing these actions. We're speaking the way Allah has created those who are stable-minded individuals, that you don't throw yourself into fire on purpose. You protect yourself. So the first and the foremost duty of any rational individual is to what? Protect themselves. And then at a later stage, once you're done protecting, you say, well, that is it. I've done my duty. I've protected myself all these years, from every type of danger that exists. And no, your duty is just starting right now. Now, next step is, once you protect yourself and you continue to go ahead and provide this protection for yourself, is to go ahead and protect people in your surrounding. First and foremost duty that is upon you, that is your responsibility, is your family, is your children, is those immediate family members that are your responsibility. You need to go ahead and provide them security, immunity, the same way you provide security and immunity from things that are existing around us, right? You don't, you put a, for example, alarm in your house. You put a fire alarm in your house. You put maybe other types of mechanisms to protect your houses. While you do all of that, there's also immediate duty upon you is to also protect the well-being of these individuals. So they don't eat anything which will be harmful for them tomorrow, or they don't do anything which will be socially and spiritually harmful for them as well. Second is Surah Taha 132 says, وَأْمُرْ أَهْلَكَ بِالصَّلَاةِ وَاسْتَبِرْ عَلَيْهَا, and bid your family to prayer and be steadfast in maintaining it. So the second instruction that Quran gives us in as far as responsibility towards your family. So yeah, it is your duty to go ahead and exhort, advise your kids, your family to establish the prayer. Wa'mur, this is right at ahlaka bis salate. Go ahead and inform. Go ahead and establish this. Now, different people might have different take on it, that you give this responsibility. You teach your children that this is your duty. Now you're duty bound. I've already instructed you. Now it's up to you. It's your choice whether you do it or you don't. Number 3, Surah Shu'ara, which says, وَأَنذِرْ أَشِيرَتَكَ الْأَقْرَبِينَ. Go ahead and warn your close relatives and family members. Of course, the reference is to that Da'watizul Ashira. But the reference is not just limited to Da'watizul Ashira. Anzir Ashiratakal Aqrabin. All of you should go ahead and warn your family members. 4th, Surah Luqman, Ya Bunayya, Aqim as-salat wa'amur bil ma'ruf. Oh my son, establish the prayer and make sure that you enjoin that which is good. And 5th, Surah Ahzab, Qul لأزواجك وبناتك ونساء المؤمنين. So you see, different to family members, أقربين, to your son, to your daughter, يا بنيّ, to yourself, to your أهل, وأمر أهلك. Here, قل لأزواجك, tell your spouses, tell your wives, tell your daughters, and the women of the mu'mineen. What should you tell, Prophet? Tell your wives and your daughters and the women of the faithful to draw closely over themselves their chadars when going out, that makes it likely for them to be recognized and not be troubled. So that's as far as the instruction Quran gives in protection to your female family members. And lastly, in Surah Zumar, it says, إِنَّ الْخَاسِرِينَ الَّذِينَ خَسِرُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ وَأَهْلِيهِمْ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. If you fail to do all of these things, you fail to provide this instruction, you fail to provide this information to them, and don't actively protect them from that which exists outside, then this is for you. Say, the losers are those who ruin themselves and their families on the day of resurrection. So the outcome of all of these instructions that are being given as far as the responsibility towards the family comes out in Surah Zumar, ayat number 15. Similarly, there are many narrations in this context as well. Amir al-Mu'mineen, Imam al-Muttaqeen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam said, Allimu anfusakum wa ahlikum al-khair wa addibuhum. Teach yourself and your family and discipline them. This is again not a recommendation. This is an obligation. Sometimes we do not differentiate properly between a wajib and a mustahab. There are other riwayat in this reference. Prophet said, Kullukum ra'in wa kullukum mas'ul an ra'iyatihi. All of you are, responsible as for those who are your subordinate, whether it's your workers, whether it's your family members, because you are ar-rajalu qawwamuna 'ala an-nisa, you are the maintainers. That means you are what? Responsible for their well-being. Is it ar-rajulu ra'in 'ala ahli baytihi? All you are responsible for your subordinate. Man is responsible for his family. Woman is responsible for her husband and children. There's this sense of responsibility that is being given from both men's side and women's side. Now, different types of responsibility that exist, which is a further explanation, but nonetheless, you're responsible for each other. Islam is not a religion of individuality, infaradiyat. Rather, it's a religion of congregation and jama'at. Prophet at another place says, Marru sibyanakum bis salati idha balagu sab'a sinin wadribuhum. I'll translate the word wadribuhum differently. Ala tarkiha idha balagu tis'an wa farriqu bainhum fil madaji balagu ashran. When your children reach the age of 7, order, train them how to pray. When they reach the age of 9 and they don't pray, enforce the prayer upon them. When they are 10, separate their beds. Of course, this is a precaution. If done early, that is fine as well. These are very minor details as far as how should you be dealing with a 7-year-old, with a 9-year-old, with a 10-year-old. Try and protect yourself as well as, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect those who are in your surroundings. So some of the messages that we derive from this, just having good faith. Nahi Moulana bahut acha, dil ke bade achhe ho. Just having good faith is misleading. Yes, alhamdulillah, people are good as far as their overall well-being is concerned. Bachcha hamara bada acha hai Moulana, bahut neek bachcha hai. What does the neki translate into? There's a different method and the different translation of neki in your mind as opposed to another individual. This is where we mislead sometimes ourselves that, our child is neek, our child is this, our child is righteous and whatnot. So therefore, we need to keep that in mind. Just having good faith isn't enough. Rather, protecting it from dangers and calamities is also highly, highly important. Hence, we read, Qu anfusakum wa ahlikum. Protect yourself and as well as your ahl. First step in reform is correcting your own act. If my act is bad, no matter how much I try to correct the act of my children and my family members, you think it's going to have any effect? I myself, na'udhu billah, is indulged in something haram. Consuming alcohol, for example. I'm going to tell my children, don't consume it. A better example, I myself indulge in smoking. But then I urge my children not to smoke. It'll be a very difficult task for me. I need to first do what? Restrain myself. Protect myself from the dangers of it before I can go ahead and tell anyone else. Then your family, then your society. In this chapter, Quran, this Surah Tahrim, we find the steps. First, protect yourself, then your family. Then in verse number 9, reform the community. Look at these steps that this surah is taking. It's a short surah. Surah Tahrim begins with, ordering Rasulullah regarding his wives and some of the plots that they had designed and all that stuff. Past all that, he begins the reform from the family, and then ayat number 9 talks about, go ahead and bring this reform in your society. So belief in resurrection and hell plays a very important role in illuminating piety and reform in ourselves. The fact that we know that there is Jahannam, the fact that we know that there is nar and waquduhan nas, and the fuel, indhan of that fire is what? People themselves. That gives you what? Goosebumps. Right away, you want to stay away from such a place. So tarbiyat and training of the children is the responsibility of the leader of the household. Human souls can be rebellious. There's this concept of baghawat that exists in us. Whether it's from family, whether it's from parents, whether it's from siblings, whether it's from, society around you, there's this rebellion that exists in our nature. If we cannot break the shackles from our own feet, we cannot free others either. Therefore, self-purification is the condition for success in building a sound family and society. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. A nonsensical comparison between Sharia and state law is being made on social media these days with reference to Roe versus Wade. Comparing Texas abortion ban to Islamic law is absolutely inaccurate. In fact, if anything, it perpetuates Islamophobia, because you're putting these two things together in the same context. It's going to go ahead and promote what? Islamophobia. The comparison is not a new phenomenon. September of 2021, when Texas banned abortion for all women, regardless of the circumstances after 6 weeks of pregnancy, hashtags such as Sharia law in Texas or Texas Taliban were making rounds on social media. And they are now being repeated. If you are on social media, on Twitter and Facebook, you'll see these hashtags are now surfacing again, with some sharing an image of a Texan woman, in an Afghan-style burqa, comparing that, look, the law that you have in Afghanistan is the same law that you have over here in Texas, no difference. Ironically, abortion is legal in Afghanistan. If the mother's life is in danger or a baby's life is at risk, interpreted or having a severe disability or low quality of life, abortion is permitted according to the Islamic law. This is a misinterpretation where Texas law is banning all types of abortion. So where's the common ground? So these comparisons are not only inaccurate, but further, as I said before, perpetuate what? Islamophobia. The value of life, unlike the Catholic Church, which believes all form of abortion is wrong because life begins at the moment of conception, Islam says no. Rulings on abortion have repeatedly shown nuance and have rejected the absolutist stance that the Catholic Church upholds up until now. Islam is not absolutely pro-abortion, nor does it criminalize all forms of abortions. Muslims believe that the life begins after 4 months, 16 weeks of pregnancy, when God plants the soul into the fetus. That's when it has heightened the rules regarding ending the life. So there are some social issues that we face. This is one of those social issues that is going on around, and I'm sure people are questioning kids more so because they indulge in these sort of debates, sometimes on purpose, sometimes they're drawn into debating with others. Just to show that you know something, you want to go ahead and debate. And just to go ahead and protect your Islamic side of it, that no, Islam does not have any. So there needs to be understanding as to what Islam says. So these are some of the social issues that we are facing at the moment. School environment and social media are heavily influencing our young minds, and they're full of questions, doubts, confusion, and criticism about their faith and family values. Because when they don't see the proper family values which are equated with Islamic values, something else is being said from the mimbar, while what they're seeing in the houses is different. Moulana was saying, father should do this, mother should do this. Well, at home, father and mothers are not doing this or that. So there's this contradiction that exists. So now their minds start to question, and doubts and confusion leads to what? Criticism about their faith. They will not be criticizing family. Even if they do so, it's for time being. But the moment they start criticizing the faith is when the things become complicated. None of us had imagined at the time of our migration to this land about its full implication on our faith and family. We can't blame the society either, because it's in line with the values that they hold. Although the values are constantly and rapidly changing in this society as well. Those of you who came 40 years ago, 50 years ago, and even further beyond that, can easily understand and relate to as to how quickly the society is changing. I've been in this country for almost 29, 30 years, and I have seen a drastic change over the years. Things which were frowned upon are now becoming legalized. Things which were haram and forbidden according to the red criteria, illegal, are now being made legal. And they're legalized, through constitution and whatnot. So faith and our values were always at danger. They have a right to live and practice as they may wish. After all this is their own country, so they're going to go out and live the life the way they want to. Therefore, in past, our issues would start when our children entered high school, but these days it starts in middle school or even at elementary school. Young minds are being exposed to misleading trends and fake identities. I don't know how many of you have younger kids that are in elementary schools and middle schools. And if you don't have kids now that age, worry about your grandchildren who are now entering into elementary and middle school and whatnot. So therefore, solutions cannot all come from your local centers, but they can play a vital role in addressing these issues and setting the straight path. So one of the means and the media is this member that we utilize heavily. Now, of course, you see that alhamdulillah during the programs in Ramadan, there was a larger gathering of younger generation attending. But usually Jummah khutbahs, although it's going live online, the ratio could be easily understood that the ratio of younger adults as opposed to elderly. So it's a very wide gap between the two. Maybe 10% or 5% would be the younger adults that are attending the khutbah for many reasons. Maybe they're at school right now, right? Maybe, they have job commitments or not. Usually after you start having this understanding of that the value of Jummah does not establish right away for some people. It takes a while for the value of Jummah to come in before they start attending Jummah this religiously. So therefore, full-time school is a long-term solution. We all need to invest in that. Don't think that I'm saying this because we have built Sadiq school and we want to promote this. Oh, well, maybe I'm saying it because of that. No, that's not the case. That's not the reason. You don't know the challenges in school these days young minds are facing. Just sit down with your kids. Speak to them. And sometimes you don't even have to talk to them. They just come and tell you. The type of questions they ask. I have a 6-year-old. I have a 12-year-old. The questions that I get from them, I'm wondering the similar questions are being raised to other parents at their houses as well. Now, what kind of answers are they getting? What kind of responses are those parents? Are they well equipped to go ahead and give a proper response or not? That is also an important thing. So when you eliminate that factor in public schools by bringing your kids to a proper Islamic environment, then many of those issues will go away on their own. Yeah, you still have a responsibility because they're not completely cut off from the outside world. You'll still have, but it will not be as big a challenge as it is right now. Believe me, yes, I have younger kids and I can relate to that. Seminars are short-term solutions. Therefore, this summer, inshallah, we're planning some such programs geared toward addressing these issues. Youth engagement is vital. I want all the youth to join us once a month on casual discussions, open up their issues without any fear of what someone has there, without people judging them, oh, why is he asking such a question? Maybe he's involved in such a so and so. Why is she asking these questions? Maybe she's into all of those things. So remove all of those things so you can get the Islamic perspective on how to deal with these things. Masjid already does that for many people on individual basis. A lot of parents approach me, Moulana, I speak to our kids. So we are doing this already on individual basis. It would be more beneficial if it was done at a larger scale, which could benefit the society at large. So, concluding with the ayat that I recited, Surah Tahrim, ayat number 6. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu qu anfusakum wa ahlikum naran waquduha an-nasu wal hijara. Those of you just joined lately, the ayat I began says it is one of those ayat of Quran which gives you goosebumps as you hear this ayat. If you understand the real meaning behind it. O those who have faith, save yourselves and your families from a fire whose fuel will be people themselves. So when you serve as the fuel of that fire, we got to be very, very careful. Inna asal hadith wa ablagh al-mawidha kitabullahi a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim bismillahir rahmanir rahim wal asri innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilus salihat wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحليم الكريم غافر الذنب وقابل التوب وهو الغفور الرحيم. سبحان من سبقت رحمته غضبه وبسط اليدين بالرحمة. سبحان من لم يكلف نفسا إلا دون وسعها واعف عن السيئات ولم يجاز بها. سبحان من لا يزداد ولا ماس عباده إلا كرما وجودا ولا كثرة الذنوب إلا عفوا والصفحا. نشهد أن لا إله إلا هو لطوف على العباد بجوده والأبواد المذنبين بحلمه. ونشهد أن محمدا نبيه وحبيبه سيد المرسلين وشفيع المذنبين بعثه رحمة للعالمين. ألا قد أمركم الله في محكم كتابه بالصلاة على نبيه وحبيبه فقال تعليما لكم وتشريفا للصفي إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيد المرسلين وشفيع المذنبين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وعلى إمام المسلمين وقائد الغر المحجلين أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى سيدة نساء العالمين وبذة خاتم النبيين سيدتنا فاطمة بنت رسول الله صلوات الله عليها وعلى الحسن المجتبى والحسين الشهيد بكربلاء وعلي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي عليهم الصلاة والسلام. اللهم صل على مولانا صاحب الزمان ما هي آثار البدع والطغيان هادم أبنية الشرك والنفاق حاسد فروع البغي والشقاق صلوات الله وسلامه عليه والآباء الكرام اتصلت الليالي والأيام. اللهم عجل فرجا وسهل مخرجا واكحل ناظرنا بنظرة منا إليه واجعلنا من المستشهدين بين يديه وتفضل على أمراء المؤمنين بمزيد التوفيقات وازدياد الإقبال وعلو الدرجات. اللهم افعل بنا ما أنت أهله ولا تفعل بنا ما نحن أهله بجاه محمد وآله المعصومين صلوات الله عليهم أجمعين. من يذكر فتنفع ذكر أن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن عليا ولي الله أشهد أن عليا حجة الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض الملك القدوس العزيز الحكيم. هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين وآخرين منهم لما يلحقوا بهم وهو العزيز الحكيم. ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم. مثل الذين حملوا التوراة ثم لم يحملوها كمثل الحمار يحمل أسفارا بئس مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآيات الله والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين. قل يا أيها الذين هادوا إن زعمتم أنكم أولياء لله من دون الناس فتمنوا الموت إن كنتم صادقين ولا يتمنونه أبدا بما قدمت أيديهم والله عليم بالظالمين. قل إن الموت الذي تفرون منه فإنه ملاقيكم ثم تردون إلى عالم الغيب والشهادة فينبئكم بما كنتم تعملون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون. فإذا قضيت الصلاة فانتشروا في الأرض وابتغوا من فضل الله واذكروا الله كثيرا لعلكم تفلحون. وإذا رأوا تجارة أو لهوا انفضوا إليها وتركوك قائمة قل ما عند الله خير من اللهو ومن التجارة والله خير الرازقين. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار بجاه محمد وآله الأطهار. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمد. الله أكبر. ربنا افرغ علينا صبرا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين بجاه محمد وآله الطاهرين. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. يا لطيف ارحم عبدك الضعيف بجاه محمد وآله الطاهرين. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر.
صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. تسبيح جناب فاطمة الزهراء سلام الله عليها. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. All of us together. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة الابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك توعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Jummah Mubarak to all of you. Inshallah, let's recognize the sponsors for today's Jummah lunch. It's Dr. Syed Ahmad and our family. Please recite Surah Fatiha for their deceased relatives as well as yours. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Rabbil Alameen ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alayhim ghayril maghdubi 'alayhim waladdallin. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Just a quick announcement, upcoming programs. Of course, Namaz-e-Fajr happens every day, but Saturday and Sunday is special where we have breakfast also served downstairs. So start your day right. Saturday, 5 a.m., inshallah, we'll have Salatul Fajr. Tomorrow morning, and inshallah, we'll have Quran Circle. And following that, we will have hot breakfast. Sunday, same thing. Inshallah, we'll have Salatul Fajr, followed by Dua Sabah, Ziyarat Ashura, inshallah, hot breakfast served. So I encourage all of you to come and join us 5 a.m. tomorrow and Sunday. Tonight there's a girls' paint night. The email was sent out. If you registered, the program will be taking place here tonight. Upcoming program, inshallah, on this coming Tuesday, May 10th, we will be commemorating the majlis to commemorate in Hidam Jannatul Baqi, the demolition of the shrines of Jannatul Baqi, 8th of Shawwal, year 1345, when this atrocity was committed. So annually we commemorate this Majlis Aza. That will inshallah take place this coming Tuesday, along with Dua Tawassul program. Program will start inshallah at 7:30 p.m. Another community announcement in reference to the Baqi rally, which also happens annually this year, inshallah. It'll be taking place this Monday, May 9th, which is actually the day of the demolition, 8th of Shawwal. Program will be starting from Saudi Embassy in Washington, D.C. There are efforts being made to arrange for people to go from here, Masjid-e-Ali, Astan-e-Zahra, as well as Baitul Qaim. The buses are going from Baitul Qaim. You can contact for more details Brother Muhammad Mahdi, or in sisters, Sister Tahira Ali, or Sister Fatima Musfi for more details how you can get on board and join us for this rally. It's a weekday, it's Monday, but nonetheless it's an important cause. If you have time, do attend, but inshallah spiritually you will definitely be attending and keeping us all in your prayers. I will be one of the speakers this year for that rally, along with other speakers who will inshallah be addressing their concerns regarding this program. So again, this is this coming Monday. There are arrangements being made. Make sure that you can attend. Let's conclude by reciting this ayat 5 times from Surah Namal together for all of those people who are in need of dua, those who are suffering, struggling, going through difficult time, spiritually, physically, financially, mentally. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them quick recovery and bring them out of their difficulties. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Amman yujibu al-muttarra idha da'ahu yakshifu as-su. Amman yujibu al-muttarra idha da'ahu yakshifu as-su. أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه يكشف السوء أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه يكشف السوء أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه يكشف السوء ويجعلكم خلفاء الأرض إله مع الله قليلا ما تذكرون. Let's proceed with Salatul Asr. الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن عليا ولي الله أشهد أن عليا وأولاده المعصومين حجج الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته يقوم وأقعد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. كذلك الله ربنا. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بحول الله وقوته يقوم وأقعد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. يا لطيف ارحم عبدك الضعيف. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر، الله أكبر، الله أكبر.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. تسبيح.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام. وأسأله أن يتوب علي توبة عبد ذليل خاضع فقير باعث مسكين مستقيم مستجير لا يملك لنفسه نفعا ولا ضرا ولا موتا ولا حياة ولا نشورا. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من نفس لا تشبع ومن قلب لا يخشى ومن علم لا ينفع ومن صلاة لا ترفع ومن دعاء لا يسمع. اللهم إني أسألك اليسر بعد العسر والفرج بعد الكرب والرخاء بعد الشدة. اللهم ما بنا من نعمة فمنك لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. اللهم
Muthodiyah Ziyarat today will recite the Ziyarat of all the great people buried in Jannatul Baqi. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum ya Nabi Allah. Assalamu alaikum ya Amir al-Mu'minin ya Qasim al-Jannati wan Nar. Assalamu alaikum Sayyid Insal Alamin. Assalamu alaikum A'immatul Huda. Assalamu alaikum Ahl al-Taqwa. Assalamu alaikum ayyul hujaj ala ahli dunya. Assalamu alaikum ayyul qawwam fil bariyati bil qist. Assalamu alaikum ahl as-safa. Assalamu alaikum ala Rasulullah. Assalamu alaikum ahl al-najwa. Ashhadu annakum qad ballaghtum wa nasatum wa sabartum fi zatillah wa kuzzibtum wa usiya ilaykum fa ghafartum wa ashhadu annakum al-a'immatu rashidun al-muhtaduna wa anna ta'atakum mafruza wa anna qawlakum as-sidq wa annakum da'awtum falam tujabu wa amartum wa lam tuta'u wa annakum da'imud din wa arkanul arz لم تزالوا بعين الله ينسخكم من أسلاب كل مطهر وينقلكم من الأرحام المطهرات لم تنازسكم الجاهلية جهلا ولم تشرك فيكم فتن الأخوة طبتم وطابت طينتكم من بكم علينا ديان الدين فجعلكم في بيوت أذن الله أن ترفع ويذكر فيها اسمه وجعل صلواتنا عليكم رحمة لنا وكفارة لذنوبنا إذ اختاركم الله لنا وطيب خلقنا بما من علينا من ولايتكم وكنا عند المسلمين بعلمكم ومعترفين بعلمكم معترفين بتصديقنا إياكم हाजा मकामो मन असरफ़ वक्ता वस्तकान वक़र्र बिमा जना वरजाब मकाम हिल खलासा व अन यस्तन के ज़हू बेकुम मुस्तन के ज़ल हल्का मिनर रदा फ़कून शुफ़ा फ़क़द फ़वत्ता इलाइका इज़ा रग़िबा अनकुम अहल दुनिया व तख़ज़ु आयातिल्लाह खुज़वन वस्तकबरु अनहा यामन हुवा काइमुन ला यसहु व दाइमुन ला यलहु मुहीतुम बिकुल्लि शै लकल मन्ना बिमा वक़फ़तनी बिमा वफ़क़तनी व अर्रफ़तनी बिमा कमतनी अलैहि इस्सद्दउ अनहु इबादका व जहलु मारिफ़तहु वस्तख़फ़ु बिहक़्क़िही व मालू इला सवाहु व कानतिल मिन्नतु मिनका अलैया मा अक़वाम ख़सस्तहुम बिमा खसस्तनी बिही फ़लकल हम्दु इज़ कुन्तु इंदका फ़ी मकामी हाज़ा मज़कूरन मकतूबन फ़ला तुख़रिमनी मा रजौतु वला तुख़य्यिबनी फ़ी मा दाऊतु बिहुर्मति मुहम्मदिन व आलिहि त्ताहिरीन व सल्लल्लाहु मुहम्मदिन व आलि मुहम्मद। अस्सलामु अलैकुम या अहल बैत नबुव्वह जमीअन व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू। अस्सलामु अलैकुम या साहिबल अस्र व ज़मान या खलीफत रहमान या इमाम अल इंस वल जान या काबतल ईमान या तफसीरुल फ़ुरक़ान। अस्सलामु अलैकुम या शरीकुल कुरआन। अस्सलामु अलैकुम या इमाम ज़मानना अज्जलल्लाहु फ़रजक व सहलल्लाहु मख़रजक व ज़ुहूरक व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू। May Allah give you Islam